Dzień dobry or Guten Morgen, depending on where you're at. Dzień dobry is Polish for good morning, and Guten Morgen is German for good morning. For 11 months, I learned how to say these different phrases because I was living in the Baltic region of Europe. You might ask why we're talking about the Baltic region. I'm going to be doing my speech over Operation Atlantic Resolve. Operation Atlantic Resolve is a joint force combined efforts between the American government and the European government in order to create a political, military, and civilian relationship that kind of bonds us together in one common theme, and that would be to deter Russia. So as many as you know, Russia has kind of been a bully almost in the region for numerous years, and they began sustaining and taking over countries well beyond our time being involved in the region. But now that times have came and changed, we are now presenting a footprint throughout the Baltic region to deter Russia. This is important for America because, one, Russia is not an ally, and two, probably the biggest part is those countries are a part of NATO. America is part of NATO, and it's an allied forces that we protect everybody within NATO if they're ever messed with. So the reason I'm talking about this today is because I actually had the opportunity to live a part of Operation Atlantic Resolve for 11 months. I was deployed there in Ukraine and Poland with countless other countries that we ran missions to throughout the 11 months, but my primary time was spent in Poland and Ukraine. So being there as a young soldier, I was 18 years old, I got the call, we were going overseas, I was ecstatic. I was going to love every minute of it, and I was going to be able to learn something more than what high school had taught me. I was going to be able to learn the different ways around the world and, you know, the cultures and stuff like that. So we got over there, and this right here, I'm actually going to pull a picture up. This right here is where I lived for about maybe a month and a half. It was in Powice, Poland. It's the absolute middle of nowhere in Poland. There's around 1,200 soldiers stationed there at all times, and is a central operating hub for Poland and Ukraine. It pushes a lot of the supplies and the people to Ukraine, as well as Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, the other Baltic countries. So going off that, we're in Poland in order to deter Russia. So the political aspect of it and the military aspect of it kind of run pretty much parallel. They were able to devise a plan, the two governments were, that would deter Russia from having any involvement really in the Polish government or the Polish military. This is important because they've been taken over numerous times by Russia in the past, and it dates back as far as the empires come. So with the political gain that we both had from this was that our countries would be able to operate dependently of each other inside of the region in order to, one, strengthen the Polish government and the economy with American presence, and two, really strengthen the Polish military. They were able to train alongside of us, pick up the ways that we kind of fight and train, as well as just get a mutual understanding of if something was to happen, we would be able to know what we were going to do within the battle space. This is the same thing with Ukraine. However, I lived in Ukraine for a lot longer. It was right around 10 months. I lived just east of Kiev, Ukraine, in a small outpost, which I'm going to pull up right now. As you can see, there's not much there. There was about 20 of us living there. We didn't have running water for about 2 months, so we were using all the water to take showers and cook. And we ran missions out of this little outpost. We were able to provide route security to the Ukrainian soldiers that were moving in and out to deter Russia along the border. This was important because they had no real aspect of what it meant to run a convoy or security. This all kind of ties back in together with the overall mission, which is we want them to be able to operate independently of us. However, we want to be a part of their government. They're allies with us, and they bring training value to the American soldiers that we normally can't get in America. This is super important because it keeps you very sharp and you don't get complacent with your regular training schedule in America. Operation Atlantic Resolve developed from 2014 to now, being a couple hundred soldiers at the beginning to almost 6,000, right in between 6 and 7,000 at all times in Europe. So this is a great opportunity for young soldiers like me, young officers, young NCOs to get out there and see that what a mission would develop from in a peacetime mission. I say peacetime very loosely with being in Ukraine because it's not always as peaceful. There are Russian soldiers and there are Russian rebel fighters that aren't always looking for the best of hearts for everybody. And that's kind of important to see that, yes, we are there to train and to pick up a skill, but we're also there to be safe and ensure that the civilians and the Ukrainians are safe and being able to just walk around and operate. Like I said, we're there to train them. So here's a picture of the 173rd Airborne, which was the sister unit to my company. They were able to come into Poland and Ukraine and do numerous operations with the two armies. They were able to do basic rifle just techniques. They did convoy operations. They did air operations, air assaults, airborne operations, which are very hard to do in foreign countries because of the different protocols. This pretty much gave us a shared understanding of how we were going to interact together and be able to fight together. Like I said, it wasn't all about going over there and giving us a footprint, but also to win the hearts and minds of the citizens that we were living along, basically. We were shopping at the same markets. We were eating the same kind of diners. We wanted them to feel safe. And David Petraeus actually had a very inspirational idea during the first surge of Iraq, and it was, you're never going to win a war unless you win the hearts and minds of the civilians that want you to win. So that kind of stuck out to us, especially when we were in Ukraine, because we wanted the civilians to know that we were there to help them. Operation Atlantic Resolve has tremendously benefited the two governments throughout the region to ensure security and a good working relationship. This is probably one of the best training exercises I've ever been a part of, and it gave me, as a young soldier, the opportunity to learn from a different nation. Not only my nation, America, but I learned from Ukraine, I learned from Poland and Germany. These are all great things that brought impact to the region too. So like I said, Operation Atlantic Resolve, it's a very good thing. It allows a working for political and military relationship, as well as bringing peace to civilians and bringing added training value to American soldiers. This is important so that we can stay ready to fight and defend and be ready for anything that happens. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and thank you.